What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another TnS Weekly Review. This week we'll be going over all the cool trades and bangers from Monday, August 18th to Friday, August 22nd. So let's just jump right into it. So the first trade that we'll be going over is from Tuesday, the 19th at 9:30 a.m. Okay, so here we are at the first trade for our weekly review. This one I'm just going to highlight the higher entry here. This play got tapped into basically right at open. This is the 925 candle. The very next candle is the 930 candle. The original TP was for only 15 points, but say you were really, really bearish for open, you could have taken this and basically caught a banger all the way down to like the sell side targets down there. But yeah, let's see how it did. And then the 930 candle comes around, and then we basically just dump all the way down. And this one was basically 43 points to the sell side target right about here. This would be like your sell side. But then it basically peaked at 335 points because you could have held this trade for the entire day. So I'm just going to put it down way down here just to visualize 335 points, what that looks like. Just leave it right about there and play it. This was basically a little like low of day. You could have held this trade all throughout the entire day. And yes, this is the same exact day. This was pretty much the low. This is 3:20 p.m. You know, you entered the trade at 9:30. You hold pretty much for the entire day. You could have got 334 points. That's what it peaked at. Really, 335 there, right at the very peak. So yeah, that's going to be our first trade added to our list. Let's move on to our second trade. This one's going to be from Wednesday the 20th at 10:20 a.m. Okay, so here we are at Wednesday the 20th at basically 10:20 a.m. We're going to be focusing on this short setup here. Now, yes, there were long setups that got triggered first, but truly, I mean, we dumped like 400 or so points here right off like open. I'm sure everyone would be pretty bearish because we still had more targets beneath. Of course, I can't zoom out to see them, but truly, this lower setup got TP here, 43 points. That's not even what we're looking at. We're watching the short here, and you can see the short did trigger right here at 10:20, and the TP was for 84 points, really 82. That's what the table shows. Yeah, risking 35 points. And you short there, you get 82 points, and then it basically peaked at 110 before turning all the way back around. It's right about there. So that's going to be our second setup there. Now let's move on to the third one. This one's going to be from Thursday, the 21st at 10:25 a.m. Okay, so here we are on our third example here from Thursday, the 21st, right at pretty much 10:25. There's a short setup here. This is the one that we're looking at. We're waiting for it to get tagged in. You can see it gets tagged in here, and it basically gets TP in one candle, pretty much. So if you use the higher entry here, I'm just gonna mark it out, zooming in so we can see it a little bit better. You have a 35-point stop, and then your TnS TP is for 40 points there, as you can see the table shows. Let's move that. Using the higher entry, the table shows 40 points for the TP, but truly, if you were trying to target sell side from this entry, you could have got 182 points just about to sell side, and that's exactly what happened. It took a little minute, but it did go, and it basically peaked at 215 points right about there. So let me back it up to pretty much right here. Sell side was 182 points, and then it peaked basically at 215, right about there. So 215 points there at the peak. So pretty nice trade there if you would have held that. Okay, so that's going to be trade number 3 added to our list. So moving on to trade number 4, this actually be the 1-minute TNS on the same day, Thursday the 21st, but this time we're looking at 9:47 a.m. So I'm just going to back this up here to about right here. And then we're going to jump down to the 1-minute and switch our TNS indicator settings to 25 points in version 2 mode. And then we're just going to back up and look at this play right here. So this short did have two entries. The lower entry did get stopped. The first stop loss for this lower entry is right here. If you took the higher entry though, you wouldn't have got stopped, and this is the one that actually played out. So if you shorted this, it's a 25-point stop. Let's see what happens. So let me pause it right here. You could see the table shows the lower entry for 48 points for the TP down here, but if you took the higher entry, it would be 70 points for the TP. Now, once again, the lower entry did get stopped. Truly, maybe you would have only settled for the higher entry here anyways, because this stop loss is within the FEG itself. And I know a lot of people like to take the ones where the stop loss is outside the FEG. So truly, you could have actually taken this for the higher setup, or for the higher entry, I mean, and you could have got 70 points out of it for the TnS TP. And then it's also peaked at 90 points. So let's just play it out here. You can see it got pretty close to stopping it out, but it did not get stopped. It got 21 points out of 25 to stop loss, but then it turned right back around and went to full TP. And then this little wick here basically peaked at about 90 points. So that's going to be setup number 4. We got setup number 4 added to our list. Now we're moving on to trade number 5. It's going to be from Friday the 22nd at 9:30 a.m. with the 5-minute TnS. Okay, so here we are at our 5th setup here on the 5-minute, switching these settings for the TnS indicator back to the 5-minute settings. We're going to focus on this long setup right here using the lower entry. You can see it was for 57 points for the normal TP for TnS, but it did run for about 70 points to the high for basically buy side. So this would be your buy side. 35-point stop, didn't really even get close, kind of just bottom ticked it. But this trade was the play of the day, really like play of the year, because it pumped so much. You could have held this trade for 437 points at the peak. So I'm just going to show that here so you can kind of visualize it. That is a lot of points. I'm going to move this to 437, right about there. And then we're going to play this out. You can see we absolutely skyrocketed. Of course, it was due to news, but TnS caught the play before the news even started, right off open, and it did peak at 437 points. That's a lot of points. So once again, that's going to be trade number 5 added to our list. Now moving on to our final play for the weekly review. It's going to be on the 1-minute TnS from Friday the 22nd at 10:11 a.m. Okay, so here I am on the 1-minute. I'm just going to switch the TnS indicator settings back to the 1-minute settings. We're here to focus on this 1-minute long here. The original TP for it was for 42 points. As you can see, it basically tags it into the absolute tick. The TP for 42 points, and it did peak at about 90. So having a 25-point stop, that's the TP there for 42, but it did play out for 90. So we're just going to put this to 90 so you can visualize it here. You can see it got TP, and then of course it did tag into a short. The short actually did get TP as well, but this one, the long here, is what we're focusing on, and that did play out for about 91 points. So that's going to be our final trade added to the list, number 6. And yeah, just to show you, this short also did play out. Just a little honorable mention here. Got TP there as well, and I think that was for like 60 points. So caught back-to-back plays there, pretty nice. But yeah, guys, this is going to be it for our weekly review. Lots and lots of bangers this week. Lots and lots of massive trades. TnS did very well this week. It actually had its most points in a single week this week, and I'm going to show you that right now. So these would be our TnS weekly results for the 5-minute version 1 with 399 points, 11.4 R, 16 wins, 9 losses. That's 25 trades total. TnS version 2 with a very impressive 441 points, 12.6 R, 15 wins, and 7 losses. That's 22 trades total on the week. And yes, this is the absolute biggest week that TnS has ever had for the 5-minute. Pretty insane stuff. Hopefully you guys were able to catch some of these plays, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.